Can't beat it. Serenaded by a male robin just above my head, sat in a carpet of bluebells on fabulous woodland floor. The bluebells, unfortunately, are starting to go over here at Lambwood. The flower heads are now becoming seed heads, and the leaves are now starting to break down and rot. But it's not bluebells or singing robins that I'm here to talk about. It's two beetles, and two fabulous beetles that seem to be having good years. Both species have produced 3 records within the last couple of weeks, and for me personally that's unusual. And Dillis and I rarely recorded either beetle on an annual basis, and if we did record it in any year, it was usually just a single record. But as I said, both species have occurred 3 times already, one not 10 minutes or so ago here in Lambwood, and they're both absolute stonkers. Just like your song. I'm tucked away again today. I like to be tucked away in out of the way places, and this is as out of the way as you can get really in Nottinghamshire. This is the private woodland of Lound Wood, just outside the village of Eakring. I've shown it many times before, primarily moth trapping, but also the bluebells, which unfortunately are sadly starting to decline behind me, but they're still putting on quite a show, as are the rest of the trees. It's absolutely beautiful here because the sun is starting to break through, and so it should start to warm up. And I'm just having a wander. I've got the sweep net, I've got the beating tray, and I'm seeing what I can find. It's not very often I do this. Still can't do it without making a video, because 2 species have turned up. One was turned up today, but the other one has also been recorded 3 times in the last couple of weeks, as is the first one I'm going to mention now. And it's an absolutely fabulous blue hairy weevil, and it's Laciorinchites cavifrons, and it's quite large as well. It's almost 9-10 millimeters in length. It's an absolutely beautiful thing. Now, it can either be a real electric dark blue, or it can have an element of being dark green. Beautiful thing. It's one of those that you'll often find on the trunks of trees, or you might beat it off foliage. This one was just sat on some elm. Now, it is found primarily on the foliage of oak. Fortunately, this one isn't too far out of alignment, because the leaves of elm on which I found it on are growing directly underneath and around an oak. And it's very unusual. Laciorinchites cavifrons is a species that I probably only get once a year, but it's not an annual species at all. Dillis and I used to turn it up quite regular in the spring at Sherwood Forest, but it was never a guaranteed beetle. But I've had 2 others this spring, one the other day actually, at Meaden Vale. I can't remember where the first one was, but it's always a species I like to find. So it's one worth looking out for. Now, the other one really is a spectacular thing. It's just over 1 centimetre in length, especially the females, and it's red, white and black, and it's Denasimus formicarius, and it's often known as the ant beetle, if I remember right. And I've seen that 3 times in the last couple of weeks, and that is very unusual. Once a year if I'm lucky, similar to Laciorinchites cavifrons. So it's another beetle that, if you're out and about in Woodland in the first week of May, or the first couple of weeks of May, it's one to look out for. I've had it on a range of different trees. It's usually on branches. The one I saw the other day was on a dead pine branch which had fallen, but I've also found it underneath pine bark which had been felled. but it can turn up anywhere. My last encounter with it, actually, if I remember right, was near Thinghow in Sherwood Forest, and one was crawling up the trunk of a beech. It's an absolutely stonking beetle, it really is. It's one of the most spectacular that we have here in Nottinghamshire. I remember many years ago, it was one of the first beetles that really introduced me to Coleoptera and got me into Coleoptera, and it was further up there at the high point of Loudwood. So that's two beetles that you may well find if you go out and about now. But the spring has not really even got going yet. The first beetles of many species are appearing, but everything is late. Everything seems to be waiting for those first few days of really nice and settled weather. The birds are in and gracing Loudwood with their beautiful song. So, two species to look out for. You don't have to look for them in beautiful woodland such as Loudwood here, but keep your eye open. They're both absolute stonkers.